And
Copy that.
all right, Monty, ready to get started?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do it. Hello, everyone. This is Coach Tim Campsall, and I'm excited to have Monty on the show today. In our chat, he's going to share about how in the past self-reliance was affecting business growth and could no longer be ignored. He also is going to talk a little bit about training tools and time as one of the most important things to get solved in the next year so that he can stay out of the day-to-day and work more on the business. If you are a business owner feeling stuck between working harder and growing smarter, this podcast is for you. Monty owns RTM and they provide marine sales, service, as well as storage. And something unexpected about Monty is that he is the biggest nerd you'll ever meet, which is very fascinating. We'll get to see a little bit of Monty in action here in a minute. Welcome to the show, Monty.
Hey, thanks, Tim.
Hey, well, I'm excited to hear your story today. So let's start with um, uh, getting a little bit of background on why you even got into business for yourself. So most owners, start their business for freedom and flexibility, but often lose it along the way. So what problem were you trying to escape when you started the business?
When I started this business, I wasn't trying to escape a problem. I seen a problem that existed
Hmm,
that needed to be fixed from the customer consumer standpoint in the marine world.
okay.
My business partner and I seen an opportunity to deliver great customer service to the marine industry,
Hmm.
kind of like what we were used to in the auto world.
Okay.
That was not being given to customers when buying a product such as a boat. The boats are a weekly vacation.
Hmm.
They're exciting purchases. Cars, not so much. It's a necessity
Yeah.
in some cases. But you want to see people still excited about buying a boat. And sometimes the processes that are happening in our industry don't keep boaters excited.
Mm.
They get burnt out quick. They see that there's big expenses to it, and keeping them educated and keeping them in good spirits and talking about experiences with their kids and tubing and all the things that go into boating
Yeah.
is something that we want to provide to make sure that they have this passion. The industry is dying. The big tip in the 80s and 90s, um, those boaters are aging out.
Yeah.
Their kids are grown up, not
Mm.
doing it, and their kids are growing up and not to passing it on
Oh,
as well. So, keeping that industry alive
yeah.
by creating experiences is what we're here to do.
I love it. So starting a business requires a bit of a leap of faith. What specifically made you say I can do this, even though you didn't have it all figured out in the beginning?
So prior to this, I was forced out of the car industry, and was working for a local car dealer in the Indianapolis area. So I was forced into a position where I had to fight or flight
Hmm.
instillment, like fired up in me.
Yeah.
So I had to survive. I instantly started a welding fabrication company because that's what I knew how to
Yeah.
do. So in the term of 3.5, 4 years is when I stepped into that. And during those 3 to 4 years, my business partner and I talked about this marine
Okay.
industry.
Yeah.
So we had some time to prep. But we came across an opportunity where was of an essence, and we just had to jump.
Okay.
It was a little easier for me to jump because I was already in business for myself. I knew some of the struggles and some of the
Sure.
things to overcome.
Yeah. Very cool. So, is that other business still around, or did you get rid of that to get into this one?
It is actually still active. It's just active on paper.
Okay.
I've since that business, within the last 8.5 years, we have started about seven other businesses
Oh, wow.
on top of the Reader Trausch Marine. But some of them more is structural business, right? The proper things to do of having holdings companies,
Sure.
real estate companies,
Yeah.
all within the businesses to start building up revenue. which is what you should be doing in an industry or in proper way like we're doing now. So it still is active, but yeah, if I had the people and the staff, I'd fire it right back up and I could check it off for number nine.
Yeah,
So
there you go. Monty, we know that successful businesses can hit plateaus, at various stages of their growth. In the intro, I mentioned self-reliance as a challenge that was affecting growth in the past. So give us a little bit more context of what was happening in the business, what wasn't working, and what eventually made the difference in terms of I believe you'd shared with me, starting to rely on others as opposed to just relying on yourself.
I think everybody as a business owner starts off with so much passion and
Yeah.
so much excitement to give their customers or to share what they have,
Mm,
their professionalism, whether you're a chef, whether you're, an aviation mechanic or whatever, right? Like you have the passion to do the thing.
yeah.
And I think the hardest thing that we struggle with is giving that up.
Hmm.
Of it being is paying somebody to do so.
Yeah.
Is the biggest challenge I think a lot of business owners, small business owners deal with is dealing with like, man, can I afford to pay somebody to do the thing? The other half of it is that nobody can do it better than I can.
Yeah. Hear
And
that a ton.
so uh, reading a couple books this past couple years has been really good. One that's Who Not How
Hmm.
has been a real eye opener for me.
Yeah.
Because if you can find somebody that does it 80% as well as you are doing,
Yeah.
then that is the time to let go and do the thing.
Yeah.
Take the money side out of it.
Yeah.
Your pride of excellence and professionalism, you got to be able to do that.
Yeah.
No one's going to be as good as you. And truthfully, and hopes that you find somebody that's better than you. That's
Yeah.
the only way that you're going to find that person that's better than you is to give somebody a chance.
Yeah. Well, and here's the reality. What I see all the time is when folks say no one can do it as well as me, what I usually ask is, well, talk me through the training plan, right? And the process documentation that you have. And usually it's like, well, no, it's all in my head. And I'm like, well, how many years have you been doing this? Oh, 5, 10, 20. So how much time did you spend training? Yeah, an hour. So does it make sense that the person can't do it as well as you? Oh yeah.
And honestly, that is the biggest. So that is a glass ceiling that we're breaking through right now with
Okay.
some of my staff is training, tools, and time.
Yeah.
If we could lay our heads down at night and say that we successfully given that to the staff,
Yeah.
the employee, the team, the crew, whatever your people are,
Yes.
then
Yes.
you can say that you've given that. And that's been a big challenge for me. When I tell you I'm the biggest nerd in the world, it's because not everybody studies astrophysics while they're doing multiple businesses and doing things, right? Like I want to die with as much knowledge that you possibly can because I believe that knowledge is dead because we don't share things. 200 years ago and longer, we used to have to go, potentially lose our life to go search for a book to learn something.
Mm, yeah.
We didn't have internet. We didn't have these things.
Yeah.
So I indulge on stuff that I probably shouldn't even learn. I shouldn't even know how
Love
to
it.
do these
Yeah.
things.
So Monty, when you were in the middle of wrestling with that, doing it yourself versus, letting go and right and even, when it looked like they couldn't do it as well as you, what was that looking like in terms of where were you spending your time and what was it costing, the organization and you by not being willing to let it go?
And that's a great question because I think everybody should ask themselves this probably daily. We're so in it. We're so micro focused on the things at hand,
Yeah.
um, which isn't a bad trait. It's just you got to look at it from a 30,000 foot view.
Yeah.
And if you can look at it from a 30,000 foot view, things will start to fix themselves. Growths will start to happen faster.
Yeah.
Hiring people, your team engagement, your staff numbers will
Yeah.
grow. Your income, your revenue to net percentage will grow. Those things will grow if You can lead by good culture of accountability, you know,
Yeah.
just your good core values of things and teaching. Because again, people want to be taught. They naturally want to know
Yes.
more if done correctly.
Yeah.
So you kind of leave those things out by just getting in and doing.
Yeah. I,
Most business owners are just doers.
right. Yep.
They just, the development that they don't have yet is learning how to delegate.
Yeah. I think the stat is something like only 1% of businesses ever make it to a million, and uh, sorry, 9% of businesses ever make it to a million, less than 1% ever make it to 10.
Yep.
And the reason is the what's required to get to that first million is usually the hustle and grind, right? The doing it all yourself, figuring things out, trial
Get you in
and
the
error,
door.
right?
Yep.
And then the business can't grow beyond the owner's capacity if that's how they're operating. So then the shift to scaling is so important of, right, teams and processes and letting delegation and accountability and, making sure that, we're leveling up to that, like you said, that 30,000 foot level, and right, working on the business instead of in it. Super
Yep.
important.
Another good thought process behind the big growth of that as well is 10x is better than two. It's a
Yeah,
really
great
good
book.
book, and
Yes.
it's a theory. That multiple people have wrote books on it, had podcasts on it.
Yeah.
Grant Cardone does a really, really good deal on it as well. But when you're stuck at two, you're only going to think times two. When you do something so drastic to change it at a level of 10, you're doing something to make a shift.
Yes. Yeah.
Small shifts are small shifts.
Yeah.
Big
Indeed.
shifts are big shifts. Just like gambling.
Absolutely.
Penny slots, you're going to win small, but if you play big, you win big.
Yep.
So, uh,
So, Monty, what assumption about running a business that you had turned out to be wrong and cost time or money?
um, I don't know necessarily I had any assumptions that running a business was hard. I grew up with a family business,
Mm.
custom home building and land development, so I kind of seen it was hard every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess the assumption that I would have had on my side is that leadership is easy.
Mm. Yeah.
And leadership isn't easy.
No.
Um, I think it's a harder grind than the doing. The doing, I'm okay with.
Yep.
Leave me alone. I'll
Right?
build you a rocket. I promise you. Elon Musk who? So you leave me alone long enough, that will happen.
Yeah.
But when it comes to leadership and truly having a team behind you
Yeah.
to drive your goals and visions, that's an assumption I would say that I didn't have correct.
Sure. Yeah. And within leadership, there's really or we break it down into two different components. Is there's managing, right? And then managing is more about holding the team accountable to goals and objectives and standards. And leading is more about inspiring and motivating them to bring their best and show up with their best self every day. And oftentimes, um, most businesses skip management, right? Great doers are promoted to be managers, and then all they do is keep doing because no one trained them and taught them how to be a manager and how to hold other people accountable. And yeah, and if we are motivating people who aren't held accountable, right, then just more mistakes get made, right? And so management, I would say, is even more important in a business that is growing and transitioning from owner doing it all to owner has team members, is really learning that skill of how to manage people and hold them accountable and get them to hit their performance objectives while
Yeah.
also learning how to inspire and motivate them.
Well, one of the biggest things with that move to management, and you're right, we keep them doing things, and then we don't teach them leadership or management.
Yeah.
So we started this about 3 years ago. It's only by referral only. You may or may not have heard of it, but we do what we call or what's called rapport leadership.
Okay.
And it's hard to even like you can't even go unless you've been picked by somebody that's been to go.
Okay.
We send all of our managers there.
Oh, great.
And with myself, Jay, and I, it's probably the best thing we've ever done.
Fantastic.
It's a 2.5 day deal. It's spectacular. It changes your entire life.
Mm.
Changes your work life. It changes your home life. It changes your love life. It changes your relationship with friends, how to gain new friends, all of it. It is
Yeah.
like all crammed into like 2.5 days.
Wow.
So we see value in it so much that once management has passed the threshold of making sure that management is going to stick with them,
Hmm.
we send them off to report.
Okay. Yeah, fantastic. Great investment. Um, Next question. In my book, I share how much stress or how much success comes down to our mindset, what we think, feel, and believe. So, how has limiting beliefs or a belief that you had in the past gotten in your way, and what did you have to work through to be able to overcome that?
So a belief that I would have had, I would say that maybe I don't need people to do this. Going
Mm,
back to the I'm the doer and
yeah,
not delegating,
yeah,
um, was obviously a big hurdle or a big glass ceiling that I had to break through myself.
yeah.
Um,
And what did it take to get through that? How'd you resolve that?
Getting out of my own way, recognizing the problems that I was creating
Mm,
and finding solutions for them. Because we can identify problems all day long,
yeah,
but one of the best things I heard was do not lie a problem at my feet, provide me with solutions.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Because again, and I was doing it to myself. So self-sabotage was was kind of one of those that we're all guilty of.
Yeah, yeah,
We just don't believe that we should be doing something when we know we can do it right.
yeah.
So
And so when you weren't allowing yourself to get out of your own way and leverage other people, what was that costing the business?
it was costing the business customer satisfaction. It was costing the business profitability,
Mm,
um, improper culture.
okay.
You
Yeah.
know, we believe that we were instilling great culture, but I think in the back end, our vision of what we were trying to instill versus reality was skewed a lot
Mm,
different than what we believed that it was.
yeah.
Um, Reflection and leadership and attitude, I mean, um, attitude reflects leadership.
Yeah.
And so if you have a bunch of bad apples, at some point you got to reflect on yourself as a leader or as a manager. So
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you for the reflection. That's humbling, but also beneficial for others. So appreciate you being transparent with us. In your intro, I mentioned, and you alluded to it already, that training tools and time is the thing that has to be solved in the next year. And if it doesn't get fixed, it's gonna cost you guys. So if you don't resolve it, or give us a little bit more context around training tools and time, and why is that so important to solve?
well, it's important to solve early if you can recognize it as early as you can. Where we're at now, that if we don't resolve it, self-implosion happens.
Mm,
The growth of the revenue that we're doing, the staff that we have, I think currently we have 78 people between two stores.
okay.
So as you grow that, it gets exponential.
Mm,
So it's harder to correct an action
yeah.
when 78 people have the thing of that incorrect action or
Yeah.
SOP or whatever. So if you don't train it in now as early as you can, then you get so far into growth that your trajectory starts to
Hmm.
piddle off and it doesn't keep
Yeah.
climbing. And so, where I wish I would have had somebody tell me early on, and my business partner Jay, is to sit us down and saying, hey, let's put handcuffs behind your back, and you can only view this from 30,000 feet.
Mm,
And if we can think that way every day about every action we take, and we will grow whatever business we start.
yeah.
into whatever it is going to be.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
we get in our own way sometimes because of that. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
that's a big one for me is just the tools, the training, and the time. And when we rob them of that, the staff of that, then for one, we also get upset with them when they're not doing the right thing. But like you said before, you train them for an hour and we thought that was good enough.
Yeah.
Um, but when you put the right training platform into place, there's also more option for accountability because now I can look at you and say that, hey, we've I've done the thing, we've done the thing, you've done the thing, and you have now signed off with HR that you understand
Yes.
these things are part of your delegations and these are your duties.
Yes.
Well, now there's just accountability to be had. And that in all reality is easier to do than it is to just go in and do all the things yourself.
Yes.
And that
Yep.
was a big struggle for me.
Yeah. One of the things that I talk through clients with if they're wrestling with a team member not delivering is um, similar to your three words. The words I use is okay. So then have a conversation with them and ask them, right? Is it a system problem? Meaning we don't have a defined system or process in place, and that's why, right? They're dropping the ball. Is it a training problem? Right? We haven't trained them well so that they know how to run the system, or is it a them problem? Right? That they're just not willing to do it. So right? Everything should start with a clear system or process that people are trained on because now we can train people and hold them accountable to running the system or the process the same way consistently every time. And that's what allows us to scale versus, right, if we're relying on people and people having different ways of doing it, then it just creates chaos.
Yeah. And with that training, everybody has to know that not only because the statement's always been made like you're replaceable,
Mm,
but the best type of replacement is moving up.
yeah.
You got to be able to train your replacement.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
is part of key of growth as well. Because if you're going to go from a manager to now an overall branch manager or operations of multiple stores or whatever, you have to be able to replace yourself.
Yeah.
And I always try to get my managers to think about this. Like, if you go home sick for a day or your kid falls down and you got to take them to get a cast or something, you come back to work and the success feel is that everything's handled.
Yeah.
And we all want that success, whether,
Yes.
no matter where you're at in that scale of the business.
Yeah.
But if that is not true, what do you need to do to make that true?
I love it. Yeah, great perspective and way to motivate and encourage your managers to work towards advancing themselves. So Monty, looking back over the years, what's been your biggest learning in terms of what delivers on long-term success?
More or less like my biggest learning curve.
What's your biggest aha or key takeaway or key learning of what does is it that drives long-term success?
Long-term success for me would say properly vanguarding situations to not allow you to stop growing.
Hmm.
So, in the sense of thinking 10 steps ahead instead of two,
Yeah. Yeah.
is a big one for myself. But I'm a big process person. So, when things start getting out of whack, I can correct them before the end result happens.
Sure.
Um, but that's difficult to train in or teach people as
Sure.
well. So that goes
Sure.
back to that training set part of it too.
Yep.
Um, but it really does take grunt and grit. I mean, that's always going to be there.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to want to be doing it all the time, nerd out on all the things that's going to make you better.
Uh,
Um, but I can take a Tuesday off and go golfing situation. Now, I think eventually, yeah, you can.
sure.
But
Yep.
if done earlier, like I said, and you think about how you build your business from a 30,000 foot view, you're going to stay at 30,000 feet.
Right. Yes.
So
Yep.
you're going to be in your jet going golfing
Yes.
and not be looking up saying that I wish I was going golfing,
Uh,
you know.
you
So
mentioned it earlier, but it's the difference between being a technician, right, or an employee in our company, or being the owner of our company, right? And the mindset and the perspective is different, right? So um, business owners who buy other businesses tend to have more freedom than business owners who start their own business because of what you're saying, right? Of if they start in the weeds, it's harder to get out of the weeds. But if they've started as just the business owner and they already have people running the business, it's easier to stay at that 30,000 foot.
absolutely. I mean, we're looking at acquisitions currently, and when now we're thinking about the same thing within our own business. When we go to look and acquire another business, like when the owner's wearing seven hats, that means I've now got more bottom line.
Yes.
I've got seven more jobs to fill.
Yes.
When the guy wants, X amount for the thing, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you got EBITDA that could be reduced. You got now it's only assets only with a little
Yes.
bit of this, a little bit of that, and
Yes.
now I've got to go replace that. So then you look at rev to now bottom line net, and that's a part of negotiating that business.
Oh, yeah.
But if you can think about that from your standpoint, if I'm going to sell tomorrow to retire early or to start a new venture, how can I not have to be on one of those 5-year contracts with the
Right.
person that's buying me out?
Yes. Correct.
And when you can say that positively, that that's not your case,
Yeah.
then that's to me success. Like I've built this thing enough to where it's turnkey. I
Yes.
can hand it over
Yeah.
and go.
And
So
that's the whole point, or at least
that's the
yeah,
entrepreneurship
yeah.
part of it is
In fact,
it's the starting and selling of a company,
yes,
not just running a
yes.
company.
One of the things we talk through our clients with is because being a business owner is hard work, right? There's a lot of stress and risk. The only reason that anyone should ever go into business ownership is to create a business that's sellable, right? Otherwise, you've just bought yourself a stressful,
Yeah. You just bought a
job.
job.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
bought a job. Yeah.
For a lot of risk.
Yep,
You
exactly.
risk yourself a job is what you did.
Exactly.
Your
Yes.
mortgage may be on the line, all of it.
Yes. And unfortunately, there are so many business owners where they get to the end and they go to sell it, and then they unfortunately discover that it's not worth anything except the parts, because nobody wants to buy them, right? If they want to retire, if the business only works because of them, it's not an asset. It's not sellable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I would also recommend any business owner that has the opportunity, whether it's a friend or acquaintance that they know, is talk to a broker of
Yeah.
some sort within the realm of their niche.
Yeah.
Um, because they're going to help you understand what the structure needs to be for a buy sell.
Yes.
And if you could get on that early, it'll help you structure your growth faster and more exponential.
Absolutely.
And again, things that I'm learning along the way, 8 years in on this trajectory, and I want to stay at 600% growth every year
Yeah,
over year.
that's awesome. Love it. Hey,
So,
Monty, we know that self-made is a myth. We've been kind of talking about that throughout the whole conversation, but who are the three people that you wouldn't be where you're at without them, and how'd they help you?
so two of them, one would be my mother for supporting all of my shenanigans throughout the years. God rest her soul. My business partner, Jay Hurlis, makes this possible because we're the yin and the yang of
Okay.
things within the business. And, we both kind of have a benefit in that sense because most people are just one self person.
Yeah.
But all of this would not even be possible even without those two if it wasn't for our spouses.
Mhm.
Behind every strong man is a stronger woman.
Yeah.
And if you truly don't believe that with your situation, you need to get that belief because they will make your life a living hell. And
I love it. Yeah. Well, let's give a shout
so,
out. What are their names?
so my mother's name is Anita Anderson, business partner Jay Hurlis, and my wife Alana Anderson.
Fantastic.
So
Monty,
Russian by nationality.
it sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people in your journey. If they were all here today, what would you want to say to them?
I would want to say Thank you for putting up with my BS. Well, and believing in me, that because belief can go past or belief can go to a honeymoon stage
Mm,
to where it's a short term,
yeah.
but true belief is forever, right? So, without those people truly believing, it dies out. So,
That having you mentioned it, but just reinforcing having that support at home it's a big deal, right? It matters a ton because the roller coaster sometimes right isn't kind to us.
no, it's not, and them long hours makes a difference, that, um, relationships are super important. And when they truly understand that you're doing it for the benefit of the family,
Yeah,
and future, for retirement and all the things of freedom.
yeah.
Um, people talk about financial freedom, and that's true. But I've always looked at money as a tool.
Mm,
And that's another one of my key points of like success is I don't think of money as such.
mm,
It's a tool to move past
mm.
to get better results.
Love it.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's awesome. Monty, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for being on the show.
thanks for having me, Tim.
For those listening, if you found yourself nodding along or thinking, hey, this sounds familiar, remember you don't have to figure it out on your own. We offer a 2-week coaching trial to help you to get clarity. The link is in the description. And if this episode made you realize you're carrying more than you should, you'll want to catch our next episode. Like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show. Please help spread this movement by liking and subscribing to our show and following us on Facebook and LinkedIn. To join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. Okay, folks, that's a wrap. Please pay it forward and be sure to tune in next time to the Self-Made is a Myth podcast.